I just got fired after 6 months of training. And what happened next surprised even me. One of the questions that I've got asked about multiple times is how to get unstuck, how to get unfrozen. You want to think about it if you are in the 9 to 5, if you are working, having a job. One of the biggest fears for you probably is to cut the income, right? Imagine your income not being there anymore. That's one of the biggest fears that a lot of employees have. And it stops a lot of employees from starting their dream and start to working on the business that they want to live and they want to experience. And one of the things that has happened to me back then, it was approximately in February. So it was February, still like winter time, spring is coming in, birds are outside, still like a couple of flowers here and there, trying to enjoy the mood and so on. But this enjoyment didn't last that much. I wasn't able to enjoy it because I had a meeting after 6 months in this one job that I was starting to work in. I got into the room and the woman in front of me tells me, "Welcome to our interview after 6 months of your work." And to be honest, as a human being, you are an amazing addition to the team in all of the psychological ways that anyone can think about. But competence wise, we are sorry to tell you that you didn't meet our standards. And that was a big shock for me. That was a big shock. I was frozen. I felt that the whole life literally is collapsing because I'm really good at what I do. And I knew that I didn't take this job that seriously. I knew that. And I knew that this type of interview will come one day. And I was risking it. I was doing that. So I was kind of expecting this in the subconscious that someday this will happen. But it was tough. It was very, very, very tough. And the reason why I'm making this video is just to take you through the fear that's stopping you and holding you back. And I will take you through it just to show you like how I've dealt with it, and if you're unstuck, how to deal with it too. Even before that interview, I was always trying to rush these tasks for the 9 to 5 job so I can literally show something that I've achieved so I can stay in the job. So I was playing the game of staying in the game. That was the game that I'm playing. I wasn't playing the game of let me perform as high as possible so I can get a raise or something. That's not the game that I was playing, right? I was playing the game of let me buy some more time so I can focus more on the business. So I was delivering the tasks that they want me to deliver, but how I would do it since the job is remote, what I was doing is that I was making sure that I'm taking and tackling the tasks, and I would tackle the tasks, the 20%, the 20 most important things in a couple of hours and have the rest of the day for my business. That's what I was doing. Somewhere on the road, the motivation wasn't there anymore. I wasn't being able to even show up for the 20% of the job. It was hard. I was obligating myself, and sometimes it was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes just before the call, and I wanted to prepare something because I didn't do anything, because I was working on the business. And to be honest, I was enjoying that, and I wanted just to buy time. That was my goal. I wanted to buy time to make sure to stay as long as possible in the job so I can keep working on my business without worrying about the financial strain, because the business in the first couple of years, it's gonna take a lot of work, and in a lot of cases the ROI isn't gonna be directly waiting for you and knocking your door. After that experience, after getting back home, after that interview, I felt frozen again. I felt that there is a big shock that's happening. I felt that my whole life in a way or another is collapsing. I'm going to a place of nowhere. I'm going to a place of losing. I don't want to lose. I'm not playing all of these games to lose. But at the same time, I knew that this game that I was playing, I was literally playing this game to survive, not playing it to win. So it's fine to lose. That's one of the tricks that I've used also to help me to detach a little bit from the failure that has happened, because it's a big one. So as I've done that, this wasn't enough. So just this trick alone, it wasn't enough for me to kind of unfreeze myself and unfreeze my soul after this shock of getting fired, right? It's one of the biggest fears that any employee has. And imagine that happening to you. It has happened to me. The fear, it has happened. That was the last thing that I wanted, right? Because I was planning that if I keep going, like doing 2.5k from that job, and I'm doing already like 3.5 on the business, that would be amazing, because then I'm averaging 5-6k per month. Cool stuff, man. I can use the business funds to keep investing in the business and use the the job to live and survive. And then the living and surviving, it would be in a good quality. Like I would cover the essentials and maybe be able to go one time per week for a restaurant, or go out one time per week, have a gym, have the essentials, and something on the top of the essentials, something small on top of the essentials. No vacations, nothing special, that's it. That was literally my goal, and I was so happy about it. But then half of my income per month was gone. I was in a moment of being frozen. But one thing that I knew that I need to do this time is to keep moving. Because the last time I had a message and I had an interview and I got laid off, or like got fired, or stopped working for the last company, I had the same shock. But the difference is that this time I knew that if I just wait, I'll be frozen for a couple of weeks. It needs probably 6 weeks to just forget this shit in your mind. So what I thought about this time is that I want to literally start as soon as possible to apply for new jobs, right? So I kind of, sooner or later, in 1 month, 6 weeks down the line, I'll be able to secure another job and get the income back to 2K that will cover my personal expense, and 3-4K I'll keep it on the business and reinvest it. Otherwise, I'll need to sacrifice the investment in the business to even survive, which is not an ideal move when you're starting out. Anyways, the one thing that I've changed then was literally that I decided to get started. So I dropped a message directly to a friend of mine. She's a business owner, to hold me accountable. And I was like, I'll pay you even for this, right? I want you just to hop with me on a couple of calls on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because these are the days where I have like some free time from clients calls, consultations, etc. And that's where I want to like literally apply for jobs. So I would have like 3 check-ins per day on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And on these check-ins, till every single check-in, I would have planned out a couple of things that I want to achieve. And all of these things that I was planning, they were process goals, not outcome goals. I wasn't aiming to get a job. I was aiming just to apply for 5 jobs, and I got around 5-6 Pomodoros to do that, right? Pomodoro is literally 25 minutes. So that was my plan. My plan was like to just put the time in. I didn't need to achieve some big things. I just need to put the time in and apply and see in these 5 Pomodoros, the minimum that I might achieve in 5 Pomodoros is 1 if I'm procrastinating that much, but that has never happened. And the best that I can achieve maybe like 5, 6, 7 if I'm really productive, literally throwing applications here and there and finding the good stuff. And the good thing is that I had a process that was improving the applications that I had, the resume, etc. Now, why I'm mentioning this, because this is a system. This is a system that I used that eliminated fear and detached the tasks that I'm doing from the outcome. Because when you are already being in this frozen mode, on like your adrenaline is to the roof, cortisol is to the roof, stress hormone is to the roof, and you're sitting there doubting yourself, don't even believe in yourself. In these moments, usually it doesn't help you to put big outcome goals, because you are not believing even in yourself. So what you want to do after such a shock, after feeling frozen, you want to build up the confidence again in yourself, and that's exactly what I've done. So the system that I've implemented was, I'm not aiming for a job, I'm just aiming to be better than the last time, because it took me 3-4 months to get broke again. 1 year before that, to realize that, oh, I'm broke, that's why let's go all in and find a job. It took me then this time maybe about a couple of hours to realize that I'll need to get myself on this. So I did attach myself on the outcome and start just focusing on the input, which is, let's just finish the resume, upload a couple of things on the resume, update the portfolio and apply. And as I was applying, 3 weeks down the line, I've realized that I got a couple of interviews after around like 20-25 applications, because I have really good portfolio. So I got these interviews and I was jumping on interviews, but I wasn't even stopping to work on the business. So I would even do a couple of follow-ups, a couple of outreach messages, a couple of emails, a couple of calls on the business. So that was bringing also a couple of interviews / sales calls once in a while, maybe like 1 per week or 2 per week. So that was going, and the interview, three weeks down the line, I got like first interview. And as I was on the interview, I've realized that I don't want to do this shit. Like, I've been there. I'll get fired also very soon. Like, I'll do this job, I'll hate my life after a couple of months. It's not for me. It's not meant to be for me. It's just a channel for me to kind of get some income so I can live my life and feed the business up so it can grow and scale. So I was just before taking decision of should I go all in on business, or should I literally keep applying for jobs and get a job? And that was tricky because logically the data shows that probabilities are I'm gonna need a job soon. And probability shows that the financial strain that I was having at the time would affect my ability to act on business. It will make me very attached to deals, it will make me very attached to the business going, which usually doesn't work or didn't work well for me at least 1 year before that event. And then I went for a walk, right? Because again, fear is always there, you gotta take action anyway. I took some small action, put the shoes on, went for a walk. As I was on the walk, I was literally just talking to my brother. My brother sees me as a source of inspiration. He's my younger brother. So whenever I'm having also these problems, I share them with him. I share these problems with him, which is good for me, but good also for him because he's hearing these problems that I'm going through as a business owner, the fears that I'm at, the obstacles that are not stopping me, which has inspired him actually to start his own business. And that's why, like at 17 years old, he has his own store, protein stores, and I can see how he's having my problems but much earlier in life. Anyways, I took that out with my brother. I had a group with a couple of friends of mine, very masculine friends that I always share this stuff with them. So I shared those ideas with them. I told them that I'm going all in, and as I've said the same thing twice, once for my brother, once for my on the group, I felt that I kind of tapped into this version of me, the version which is willing to take the risk, the version which is willing to go all in despite the fear. And that's what I've literally done. And here we go. After that, I've never needed any type of other job. And it was the last job that I had beside my business. After that, maybe 3 months down the line, I had a 1 month where things were a little bit harder than usual. Maybe I averaged 2.5, 3K that month. And that was a tough one. But other than that, things were good since then, and I didn't need any type of part-time job. And till this moment, like if things go bad and I need another job, I can't find another job quicker. But what I've said right now is that the same fear that has used to kind of freeze me back then is the same fear that when I have a bad month when it comes to business, meaning like maybe I'm making 2.5, 3K, whatever, something very low, and especially if the expenses are a little bit higher, I'm netting not that much and I can barely cover my personal expenses. So when that happens, if that happens, a mental trick that I get myself into is I imagine myself doing the job that I want to apply for. And then I notice that even the hardship that I'll need to go through to get that job is similar to the hardship that I need to go through to get another claim. So what happens is I just set a challenge for myself for a couple of days. So for 3 days, I'll just go all in on business a little bit more and see if I can get something out of it. If not, I'll go for a job. And after these couple of days, usually where I would go all in on sales activities and marketing activities, what would happen is I would get something out of it, or I would get a couple of sales calls out of it, maybe not close those, but which will allow me to see that I better put my energy in the business. So that's a really good mental trick, right? To, the fear still exists. What if things don't go well? But the reason why I'm not frozen, and back then I was frozen for a couple of weeks or a couple of days, is because what has changed is the mindset. I knew that staying stuck and doing nothing will lead to nothing. So I better do small actions and I might get the result. So accepting that is amazing, and keeping in mind that the worst case scenario, things will not go and you need to figure out and find the job. Worst case scenario, if you cannot find a cool job, you can do anything. There are millions of jobs. You can literally just work as a waiter or work anyway. You can do anything. There are so many jobs out there. So just having that in mind, it will kind of chill you out and give you the feeling that it's not that bad, and allow you actually to keep going and keep rolling and keep getting things done. That was the message for the video. The message literally is targeted for you if you have been stuck, or you are stuck, or you are frozen, or you have been frozen, or you have a fear of losing a job. I wanted to share with you that I had the fear too, and I still went through it. and how I went through it. And the reason I'm sharing this again is with the hope that this will be helpful for you. If that's the case, keep a like there. If you like this video for any reason, also like let me know in the comments what other topics would you love me to talk about, and share my stories and my experience about as a six figures business and life coach. Subscribe for more and see you very soon.